Episode 5 Abraham, the Promise of Restoration. Let's take a step back and talk about a key figure in the Old Testament, someone who plays a major role in God's plan to restore humanity. He was Abraham. Abraham's story was found in Genesis 12. It's a turning point after the Tower of Babel in the last episode and the downward spiral of humanity. God decides to make a fresh start again. But this time, instead of wiping everything out like he did in the flood, God chooses to work through one man and his family. Abraham becomes the father of a nation, the nation of Israel, and through him, God begins the process of restoring what was lost in the Garden of Eden. But here's the promise that God makes to Abraham in Genesis 12, 2-3. I quote, "I will make you into a great nation, and I will bless you. I will make your name great, and you will be a blessing. I will bless those who bless you, and whoever curses you, I will curse. And all peoples on earth will be blessed through you," unquote. Now notice something important in that promise. It is not just about Abraham. God says, all peoples on earth will be blessed through you, unquote, through Abraham. So from the very beginning, God's plan wasn't just for a select group of chosen people. It was always been about restoring humanity. God chose Abraham to bring healing and restoration to the entire world, not just to the Jews. Now let us think about this practically. What does this mean for us today? Well, Abraham was called to trust God's life-giving design, even when things don't make sense. God's promises to Abraham comes at a time when Abraham and his wife Sarah were already fairly old. They have no children, and the idea of becoming the father of a great nation seems almost impossible for their age. But God's design is never limited to human limitations. Abraham's story is one of faith, choosing to trust in God's plan even when it looked like nothing will work. Now, this is the core lesson we can take from Abraham's life. When we trust in God's design, even when it seems impossible, we position ourselves to be part of something greater than ourselves. God's promise to Abraham is a promise of restoration. It's not just about a land or a family. It's about God restoring the entire world. And through Abraham's descendants, God will eventually bring Jesus into the world. Now, Jesus will ultimately be the one who fully restores humanity to its original design. But it all starts with this promise to a person called Abraham. What can we learn from Abraham's story? Well, it teaches us that restoration and healing are always possible, even when it feels like things were too broken to fix. The journey of faith isn't about having all the answers or seeing the full picture. It's about trusting that God's design is trustworthy, even when we don't understand the entire process. Abraham's faith wasn't perfect, but he was willing to take a step toward trusting in God's promise. And that's all it takes. When we step into faith, step towards God, trusting that God has a good plan, and even when we can't see it or don't understand it, our lives start to align with the great purpose of healing and restoration that God is working out for the whole world. In a world that often feels fractured and lost, Abraham's story reminds us that God is still working to restore everyone. And if we choose to trust Him, we can be a part of that restoration too. Amen.